All right. Here we are. What's up, my guy?
Action. This is a special episode today, man. I'm excited about this one. Today, we're going to get into what would the world look like today if JFK would have survived the assassination and went on to a second term as president. What would have changed? What events would have happened, wouldn't have happened? So we're going to do this thought experiment together with you today. And we are excited to hear what you think. So take a trip on this new timeline with us. What if JFK survived?
Such a trip. So crazy to think about. And the world would be a different place.
Very different place.
Yeah.
It's strange how one person could have made such a difference.
Change everything.
Yeah.
Change everything. You ready to jump in?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So, man, I got my disappointed face on. You like the end of Loki season 2?
Yeah.
Him with the green tie. It sounds like something I would make up. It really does.
A ghost, a ghoul, a goblin, a monster, a werewolf.
Went on and wrote in the comments. I was going to say that came out great.
You're off to a great start.
Yeah. We got some fun stuff planned today. We got some goods. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the podcast Never Sleeps. I'm your host, Killer Cam, aka Chaboy. And with me always is the funny and knowledgeable Jared, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go. Let's have it. Let's have it. Let's hear it.
Welcome back.
So, dude, today we're talking an alternate timeline, basically.
Yeah.
If one thing were to change,
Yeah.
the butterfly effect, the ripples that would occur.
Exactly.
So, I want to jump right into it.
Okay.
First of all, I think it's important for the story and for the for this thought experiment to sort of know the landscape of the world, of the U.S., of the world, really.
Yeah.
In leading up to the 1960s.
Right. Yeah. What was the temperature of the country? What was going on around the world before he got elected?
Yeah.
Learn us something.
Yeah, I'll learn you something. So, 1960, you got to understand this is Cold War era, right? This is height of the Cold War.
Yeah,
which is
scary
tensions
times.
between the U.S. and the USSR and Cuba. So back in this time, you got to remember this is where you could get 4 gallons of gas for under $1. Like it was a different time. There was the Dallas Cowboys played their first game in 1960.
Oh,
Is that
I didn't
wild?
realize that.
Yeah,
that's
I know.
funny.
Yeah. The civil rights movement was making a lot of headway. Nuclear powered submarine actually circled the world, staying submerged.
Yeah.
Nuclear powered submarine.
Cool.
Circled the world in 60 days and 21 hours.
Yeah, science had given
So
us
nuclear
a lot
powered submarine.
to this point.
Yeah. Psycho was released in 1960. Hitchcock's Psycho, right? The first birth control pill was made available.
Huh.
Yeah. And then on January 2nd, Senator John Frederick Kennedy from Massachusetts announced his candidacy for presidency.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And then he was the first president to utilize TV and spend money on his campaign that all over.
They called him the television president.
They did.
I remember this, yeah.
Chase, what's up, buddy? Deb, Tina, what's up, everybody? So,
Before that, I mean, you got all your news from like newspapers a day later.
and you know how we're so used to seeing like the signs on the side of the road and all this stuff?
Yeah.
That was not commonplace. Nobody did that.
Yeah, you
until-
still had to soapbox it.
Straight
Like
up.
get a bunch of people
Straight up.
together,
Town
go
square
to
shit.
them. Yeah.
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 But,
hear ye.
Yeah.
I
On this day
will
of...
be running for president.
Yeah. Well, I'll be running for president. That was the worst.
I
John Frederick Kennedy.
will be running
Will be running for president of the United States of America.
with my good pal, who I trust with my life,
Lynn.
LBJ.
Yeah. Lindy Linton, I call
Yeah.
him. My good boy, my brother. My brother in arms. Isn't that right, Lyndon?
I got the Silver Star, but I didn't deserve it.
He says that. So
Oh, yeah, Lyndon now.
Yeah.
Shut up.
the first televised presidential campaign was between JFK and Nixon.
Cool.
Yeah, pretty wild.
Yeah.
1960.
Could there
man.
be two different people running for office? Nixon and JFK. Could there be any further
right.
difference?
Yeah. Oh, no, yeah.
They
No.
are like polar opposites.
Straight up. And
How wild.
But it's odd because they're such polar opposites.
Yeah.
The fact that the election was so close. So November 8th, 1960, Kennedy defeated Nixon in one of the closest presidential elections of the 20th century.
Yeah.
Kennedy won the popular vote by a narrow margin of 120,000 votes
Isn't that wild?
out of a record 68.8 million ballots cast.
Every vote counted
Literally
that election,
every freaking
man.
vote.
That was a big one.
So the civil rights movement was very prevalent and big at the time. we had the anti-war movement. We
Yeah.
had, women's rights, gay rights, just civil rights in general were making huge headway.
Yeah, because before this, there was still separation, like different bathrooms, different restaurants, different schools.
Dude, straight
that
up,
had not been fixed yet.
No,
This
so
is
there's
the
a story
60s.
of these 4 black gentlemen that go into this restaurant.
Yeah.
And they're refused service, but they stay there. It's like a sit-in.
Yeah.
They stay there. And then like 6 months later, after all the fighting and crazy things going on, people seeing on TV this horrible Jim Crow era stuff. Because you got to understand, before this shit wasn't televised.
Yeah.
People weren't able to see.
You'd hear about it, but you couldn't see
You'd
it.
read in the newspaper, sure, but you couldn't see the horrors of innocent people getting sprayed down with hoses.
Yeah.
And, man, dogs, sickened dogs after these.
That must have made a big difference when it came down to
Absolutely.
the legislation.
Sickened dogs after innocent people. Of course it did. And so then, 6 months later, when they were allowed to go into this restaurant and eat, it was a big deal. So it was a crazy time, and it was a time of change and of progressive movement thinking and thinking more progressively as far as let's not segregate. That's crazy.
Chris Rock had a joke in one of his specials. He said, he's like, I remember real racism. I'm talking real racism. He's like, I'm not talking like 100 years ago. I'm talking like 1974.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a genius.
Oh, he's the best. Yeah, man, we had the Jim Crow era stuff sucked. Vietnam started in 1955.
Yeah.
So, dude, it's so funny looking into this stuff. You realize all this shit. It's all proxy wars. It's all money. That's all this stuff is.
Yeah.
So Vietnam, it's the same story as everywhere else. South Vietnam versus North Vietnam. One's communist. One isn't.
Yeah.
So one is backed by the communist countries. The other's backed by the capitalists. USA and their allies. It's the same story over and over and over and over again.
We have to stop the
We
spread
don't learn.
of communism, and the only way to do that is with a shit ton of money. And
And this was the height of like the communist scare, the Red Scare, bro.
McCarthy era, post-McCarthy era.
So this is JFK was against. He had to be against. You had to be strongly against communism, and that's the only way you become president. That's
Oh
the only
my
way anybody
gosh,
would vote for
yeah.
you.
They
You have
would
to be
drag
strongly
you in
against
front of a
communism.
tribunal and,
straight up,
and call you all these names, and you could do time for consorting with these people, or you lose your job.
So a good thing to know about this era, it is communism is the bad guy. Period.
Yeah.
Right. Doesn't matter what form they take, what country they're from.
Exactly.
Communism's the bad guy.
Yeah.
So when you have a country like Cuba getting cozy with the USSR, everybody's getting a little frightened.
Yeah, because they're right there. They're at our doorstep.
Literally
you can
in our
see
backyard.
them from
Yeah.
the tip of Florida. You can see it.
Just like you can see Russia from Alaska.
Yeah.
So Fidel Castro led the Cuban Revolution, overthrowing Cuban President Batista in 1959, right before JFK's election. So this Batista guy was a brutal dictator. He was a horrible person. And Castro making himself the head of the armed forces. And then he's like, I'll just be the prime minister.
I might as well just
run the whole fucking country. Yeah. Enough pussyfooting around here. And then the Bay of Pigs occurred. You know what the Bay of Pigs is, my dude?
Of course.
So in a time of anti-communist agenda, Miss Michael Domino, what up? So in this time of the plan was to overthrow the communist leader of Cuba, Fidel Castro.
Yeah. So you're talking early JFK's elected.
Boom.
Yeah. And he comes into an administration and a cabinet of these Cold War era generals and SecDefs, and they have one thing on their mind.
Oh, do you want to talk about that? Well, I'll just lay the scene, or you want me to get into this a little bit?
No, you can talk about it.
Okay, cool.
I'm just saying, I'm just laying out the landscape.
Sure. So Eisenhower.
This is scary.
So Eisenhower started making plans against the Cuban government, but his term ended.
Yeah.
And here comes the incumbent now. Here comes JFK.
And he ends his term with that speech. And what is he warned against in that speech?
Murder. No, what does he want against?
The military-industrial complex.
You're talking about JFK.
No, this was Eisenhower. So on his way
Dwight
out,
David Eisenhower himself.
Yeah. So on his way out of office, he gives this speech that says, we need to, whether sought or unsought, we cannot have the influence of this growing military-industrial complex because war is their trade. Right?
Eisenhower saying this.
Yeah. And they're going to, if we give them too much influence and power, they're going to create reasons to go to war. He tried to warn the country and the incoming president, JFK.
Yeah.
Watch out for this. This is getting out of hand.
Yeah.
Eisenhower was the president where all these conspiracy theories around even the UFO connection, he was the guy, one of the last presidents read into this stuff. Because so he would have known.
This is before they're like, you know what? Let's stop telling even the president about this shit.
He started realizing they weren't telling him things, and that they were warmongers. They were using
Eisenhower. So Eisenhower was like the first
Yeah.
to sort of see into this because he was the first that they were keeping information from, huh?
Right? Yeah, he was the first that saw that they were doing their own thing.
Yeah.
They weren't asking permission anymore, and these are unelected officials. Right? These aren't people that people aren't voting for these guys. These are appointed, and as they rise through the ranks, they're given access to certain things. We have no influence over them and who gets to hold those high positions.
These amoral pieces of shit could be the people making these calls.
Could be put into
against
these
other
positions of power, and we
huge
can't
positions of power.
vote them out. We don't have a choice. Yeah,
because they're not voted in.
Exactly.
Dude, yeah, that's wild.
And he saw that something was happening. Because why say that? Why make that such an important part of your speech? Your
on
last
your way
speech?
out.
Yeah, on your way out. To say, careful. There's something scary going on from within.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we have to put this fire out.
So people do a thing of when they're talking,
Yeah.
they have like an order in which they say stuff, right? So like if I'm telling you about my day, I'll be like, I ate breakfast, I went to the gym, and then I met the girl of my dreams, right? Because it would sound weird being like, I met the girl of my dreams, then I ate breakfast and went to the gym. You know, like you
Yeah, if you were like, I met the girl of my dreams today, but before we get into that, I woke up.
Yeah, nobody gives a fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. So point is you lead up, so you end on your banger.
Right.
But obviously this has other connotations too. But he's like, guys, this is important what I'm saying. Focus up. The end of his speech is, this is the note I'm leaving you guys on.
Yes.
Wow.
And it was almost like he was talking directly to JFK.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, watch out.
And I'm sure he did
Watch
talk
out for
directly
this.
to him and say,
there's a lot of them made available now on YouTube even because they're matter of public record. You can hear JFK and Eisenhower talk. You can hear JFK call him up for advice. It's the greatest thing in the world.
That's cool. Remember when that was a thing?
Yeah,
cool.
Exactly.
Cool. And I want to sort of preface this. These people and party lines, nothing to do with anything today. We're not talking.
Oh, no. The parties are very different now.
Couldn't be more
Things
different.
have changed dramatically.
Different world.
Right.
So when I say Republican, that has nothing to do with Trump. That is, when I say Democrat, it has nothing to do with Biden.
No.
Obama.
Yeah, we're talking about events and times that are very different. It has nothing to do with party.
Nope.
We're going to talk about people today and their actions and the ramifications of those actions and what JFK, the difference he could have made in influencing these future events.
Partisanship
nothing
has
to do
no
with,
place here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So anyway,
good point. Yeah.
Back to the Bay of Pigs. So Castro was the communist leader. Communist is bad guy. So must get rid of bad guy, must get rid of communist, must get rid of Fidel. So Eisenhower started making plans, but then his term ended. He made that speech, as you just made us aware of. And then JFK comes into office. And so now it's his job, right?
Yeah.
So there was two ways to go about this. There was the sneaky way, and there was like the loud and proud way.
Yeah.
Problem with the loud and proud way is you're going to upset the USSR. This is height of Cold War tension.
Right.
So you don't want to upset a country.
You're talking about like an invasion.
Yeah.
The
loud and proud. We did it.
You need the people behind that. Yeah. You got to have the country behind it. Because back then that mattered. That what the people thought, right? They took that into account before they just did things.
Well, yeah.
This is the time of where they actually cared about what the temperature of the population was and whether or not we were willing to allow them to do these things.
And it actually even affected what they thought would be the outcome. They thought everybody would be, as soon as we do this, the Cuban people will be so relieved and they'll be like, oh, yeah, thank you, America.
Right.
Which they misread that temperature. Yeah. But we'll get there. So there were two ways, the sneaky way and the loud and proud way. They chose the sneakier way. Where
they being the
US
CIA.
government. Exactly right. So they came to him with a lot of different ideas, but as far as the Bay of Pigs is concerned,
Yeah.
U.S. forces landed in Cuba and were defeated. You're like,
Yeah.
wait, how were U.S. forces defeated in this little country? What happened was, well, Kennedy was in a tough spot. If he outright aided the exiles, he would have upset the USSR, like I was saying.
Yeah, these
their
weren't
allies.
U.S. forces.
And
These
raised
were
Cold War
trained Cuban forces, trained by the CIA.
The exiles.
Yeah. So they weren't U.S. soldiers. That
Thank
would be
you
an
for adding
invasion.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
clearly,
big distinction.
Yeah.
The CIA took a bunch of these. What would they be? What are those they call? Where they the rebels?
Rebellion.
So they took a bunch of rebels and trained them. They had special ops train these guys in warfare. And then they said, okay, this is what you're going to go in and take your country back.
Yeah.
With our training, some of our money, our weapons, but there was no direct U.S. involvement allowed.
Yeah.
That was the stipulation.
That was the sneaky way. Exactly
Yeah.
right. That's the loud, not as opposed to the loud and proud way.
Yeah, we're going to use your own people are going to take the government back, but we're going to try and help you.
And it seemed plausible because that's just what happened. Fidel Castro led a group of rebels.
Yeah.
And they did take over and they won.
Yeah.
And so they're like, we can repeat that, but on our terms.
Yeah. And the CIA had done stuff like this before. They know how to do this. They know how to take over governments and install leaders that
so
they want.
let me finish this and I'll tell you how well they can do that.
Okay.
So anyway, JFK was in a tough spot because
the ground forces get defeated.
Yeah,
They're losing.
Okay, is that where I was?
Yeah,
so,
that's where you were. Yeah.
So they were losing. Why did they lose? How did these U.S. forces lose? So Kennedy refused to send in air support.
Right.
Via the Air Force.
Yeah.
And which obviously would have helped hugely, but he didn't because he thought of Korea, the Korean War, and the Vietnam War, where we went in and tried to do shit and it didn't work out.
And then it becomes our war.
Yep. And now it's our war that we're spending millions on.
Not one U.S. plane, no U.S. soldiers, nothing. So you can do this. He didn't even want to do this.
And the CIA insisted we can do it with just that without air support.
They knew it was
total bullshit.
Yeah, they knew they were they were putting him into a corner.
Yep.
Because they thought they could.
They
control
wanted
him.
one outcome from him. Exactly right.
Yeah. Once we start losing, he's going to have to send in air support. These guys were so sneaky. They even went. They even found out a way to circumvent him in the instance where he doesn't approve the Bay of Pigs. If he would have vetoed that decision, they already had a plan in place to circumvent that decision and actually do it anyway.
That's how they work.
It came out later. RFK, his brother, found out because it was documented what their plan was to circumvent the president and do this without his blessing. And he called it, he said it was basically treason. What they were planning to do.
Yeah.
Luckily for them, Kennedy said okay to just sending in those rebels.
Yeah.
But if he wouldn't have, they would have committed what RFK called treason to just do it anyway.
That's treason. Absolutely.
They didn't want to. Yeah. They didn't care if they had his blessing or not.
Tina said,
Gross.
this is exactly what happened. These people are always looking for a reason to go to war. It's disgusting.
Yeah. That's what Eisenhower was scared of. Yeah.
So, that's exactly right. But the CIA, as you said, are kings of overthrowing governments and installing their own people.
Yep.
Iran in 1953, sent in by Eisenhower to help MI6 in Britain install their own people. Guatemala in 1954. The Congo in 1960. The Dominican Republic in 1961. Chile in 1970. These are all 1973, if I didn't complete my sentence. These are all instances of the CIA going into a sovereign country, taking out their government and installing their own.
Right.
The CIA, who doesn't work on U.S. soil, they exclusively work on foreign soil to do crazy shit. And so if you think, oh, there's no way the CIA would be able to, oh, they do it. And they've done it many times successfully. They're great at it. Yeah. And each time they got better than the last. These people are truly evil. Yes, Chase, exactly.
Yeah, so right. If you look back in history, it's always the same. And these guys should have been students of history because anytime an empire goes around and takes country and installs their own leadership so that it follows their way of life, their wishes, it always turns into rebellion it always turns into deep hatred of the empire that takes the country and installs their own leader.
Yeah.
And you're left with enemies everywhere instead of friends. They don't become friendly nations. You might get what you want out of them for a short period of time, but the swell of anger that you took their country from them and put some puppet in charge, it always turns into open rebellion and war eventually. And a lot of big empires have been toppled by doing this.
Yeah. It creates rebels, rebellions.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Because
generations of people.
Imagine if, let's just throw out a country. Imagine if Venezuela, let's say, I don't know, it's the least likely case possible, but imagine if like Venezuela came and took out our president and said, oh no, we're putting this guy. Could you imagine, even if you didn't care about that president before, now you're like, dude, fuck these guys.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
How do we, what do we need to do to organize to get them
These
out?
dudes gone, bro.
We're going to take
100%.
this country back. And people, when they get that kind of hope and anger and vengeance in them,
and patriotism,
exactly, nationalism, and they can do amazing things. We've seen it throughout history.
Oh, yeah.
That small groups can topple huge empires because of that passion. It's happened over
passion,
and over
a little
again.
bit of conviction. That's it, man, and a little bit of know-how, and that's that. So that's sort of the landscape of the time. So JFK gets elected into this time of change and time of rebellion and time of it's the 60s, dude.
Yeah.
Like, let's
Cold
not forget.
War.
Yeah. It's Cold War, it's free love, it's this, that, and the third. It's change. It's a time of change.
Yeah.
It's a time of fear of the Red Scare of communism.
Yeah.
What is Chase saying here?
There really is a secretive, behind-the-scenes part of the government that calls all of the shots. Why else do politicians not discuss and go after the problems we all agree on?
Yeah.
It's there. There's a very imperialist mindset and a elitist mindset, and depending on who you put in charge, they will either do what's best for them or they'll do what's best for the country.
So in this case, JFK was put in charge. He was elected president.
Right.
What's his agenda? What was he fighting for? What were his ideals?
Yeah, so he, like you mentioned, big into the civil rights movement, right?
And then real quick, not to cut you off, I just want to say, we are going to get into conspiracy corner for his death.
Right.
So
Yes.
Lest we forget, we got a good conspiracy corner for today.
Yeah. So JFK, so the Bay of Pigs, he describes it as a learning experience. After it happens and he realizes what these guys were trying to put him into a corner to do, and they felt like that they could control him, he said that he learned, and it was a hard way. It's like trial by fire, right?
Yeah.
That he learned what was really going on. He knew that the CIA had grown out of control. And he had privately said, and it's a well-known fact now, that he had said he wanted to take the CIA and shatter it into a million pieces.
Public knowledge, yeah.
He was pissed at what they did and what they were planning to do. They had come to him with plans for Cuba that were probably for the Castro. What they needed is a reason to invade. The rest of the world and the country, the people of the country, wouldn't stand for us just invading them without provocation. So we needed a good reason to invade. So they brought Kennedy all kinds of crazy harebrained schemes.
We're talking about Iraq, or we're talking about? It just sounds familiar. Sorry.
The history does repeat itself,
it sure
right?
does. But so
the wrong guy in this position would have done. Probably would have went along with it. Their ideas, everything from false flag operations, ideas like what we can do is
JFK is not going to stand for that kind of stuff.
Exactly, but other people would have, and we see later on in the future they do. So this guy, he gets all of his national security advisors together, and they have all these plans. They're like, so to get the people behind the invasion of Cuba, how about we do? This was Operation Northwoods. If you guys heard of this, these were the plans. They said so. One of them.
Will you send my 2 o'clock in? Oh wait, how does JFK sound?
He's
Well, you send my 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
Will you send my Janine? Will you send in my 2 o'clock? I'm meeting with the CIA.
Mr. President, we have several great ideas here on the table so that we can invade Cuba.
I am President John F. Kennedy.
Right.
If you didn't notice by the shirt.
Yeah, unfortunately.
It's Casual Friday.
I didn't say that. Sorry.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, that's how I sneeze.
Yeah, I know. That actually is how you sneeze, and it's odd. I've noticed that before.
Yeah.
You're not just covering up. For yourself.
Unfortunately,
yeah,
sir. So we, unfortunately,
yeah, it's a real thing.
Yeah,
unfortunately, that is real.
So we have this great idea, sir. We're gonna take a fake boat of college kids from Florida.
Okay.
Right? So they're not real college kids.
Oh, real quick. Okay, I was gonna say you a fake boat.
Like puppets, right? We'll give them all fake IDs and everything, right? We'll even have body parts we'll put in there later.
When you say fake boat, what do you mean a fake boat?
We're gonna take like a U.S. Civilian boat and have a bunch of college kids pretending they're going on a trip, right? And then we're going to sink them using American forces that are dressed up like Cubans and use like weapon, and then we'll tell the story that it was actually the Cubans that sunk this boat of innocent kids, and America won't stand for it. Well, then we can totally invade. They'll love it. So that's one of them. That's
okay. Well,
yeah.
So your idea is you want to dress up puppets as you said college.
Yeah,
American
we could use
kids?
real college kids if you think that's going to be it's going to hit harder.
You said college kids or Cuban. What did you say?
We're going to pretend Cuba kills a bunch of American college kids on a trip.
Oh, you're going to dress them up as American college kids.
Yeah.
And then on a boat, and you're going to pretend that Cuba attacked them.
Right. We'll tell the whole country, look what they did to these innocent kids, and then they'll have to let us go to war.
Yeah, but that would be just blatantly lying to the American people.
Right.
We're not going to do that though, right? Because that's crazy, right?
Well, what about this one?
Give me another. You got another plan?
We got a few good plans here.
Because that one's fucking dumb.
So the Cubans
Did you hear what I said?
Russian support.
Did you hear what I said though about that plan?
Yeah.
It's fucking dumb.
Okay. What did Johnson had something good? Johnson,
what do you have for me?
Well, sir.
Please.
I
like your tone of voice. Okay.
What
this is good
if
already.
we poisoned Castro with with what is it? The feminine
estrogen
hormones. Thank you. Estrogen.
Oh, you're fucking serious?
And he'll grow boobs and lose his hair, and then people be like, "That's not the strong Castro we had." And then they'll take over their own country back because he's got boobs now. And just so you know, we started this already. We didn't ask. We just started doing it.
You started putting estrogen into Fidel Castro's
food and stuff. Like we just thought you would be okay with it, so we just did it already.
So you've already put estrogen into Fidel Castro's food.
How could he be tough if he's got boobs?
You think you think he's gonna grow tits?
That's what the plan is.
And then the country's gonna turn against him?
There's science behind this. I mean, we worked on this for at least like 30, 40 minutes before we put it into play.
Max.
Does anyone else want to go? I feel like he's not liking what we're talking about here.
Hating this.
Mr. President, I had a great plan where we have a submarine actually release parts of an American jet off the coast. And then we tell that story to the people that Cuba shot out. See, now you're getting it. See, guys, I told you he'd like this one. And it'll look like the Cubans attacked a civilian airliner. Of course, it'll all be just a fake show.
That's the same thing I said was dumb as shit.
Well, but this one
it's
has
in the air
no
instead of a
dummies,
boat.
And we're not dressing up dummies.
Thing.
Okay.
Same thing.
We can. Okay. How about this?
Last
the
one.
Guantanamo Bay one. Remember, we're going to off the coast shoot mortars at our own soldiers at Guantanamo Bay and pretend that it was the Cubans that did it. And then the American people will never stand for them attacking one of our installations, and we'll have to go to war. And Congress will be so happy to vote for. You seem disappointed in this one, too,
I don't know
son.
what the fuck you're talking about.
Well,
this sounds crazy and insane.
I mean, we've got a few more, but they're all around the same lines.
Okay, give me your best one.
We call them false flags.
Yeah, we're not going to lie to the American people. So give me one about, a better one. Give me one with some real substance.
So at this time, we have no plans that don't lie to the American people.
Okay.
So
Well, just give me what you think is your best one.
what if we did the you tell him seashell one?
Oh, I like this. Okay.
Okay, so there's this beach where Castro likes to go pick seashells. Where we sent Green Berets, and this operation's already in effect. We sent Green Berets to the coast
See,
to
this
put
making sense.
C4 in the seashells, and when he picks up his favorite color for seashell, it'll explode, blow him up, and then the people will take over and install a democratic.
Yeah, you're making a lot of assumptions here. So not only are you assuming that, how does JFK talk? Not only are you assuming that he's
he
gonna.
loves the speech. Yeah.
So you said you already did this?
Well, this is already in effect. So we did this. We have exploding cigars. We sent
This
him
is so
a scuba
fucking
suit that actually
stupid.
gives him poison instead of air. We got lots of good
These
stuff.
are
here,
all
so.
real, by the way.
He had
These
an
are all real.
ex-lover. We trained her how to kill, just in case he ever sleeps with her again.
Okay.
So
That's a good thing.
we got a lot
So
of
real quick,
got a lot of
you-
plate spinning.
How many seashells did you put? Like 1 million
Yeah, there's
seashells?
like 5 or 6 good ones though, the pretty ones.
C4 seashells.
Yeah.
C4 shells.
C4 shells. That's what we thought would. Yeah,
That's clever.
That's a good name.
So you're hoping that Fidel Castro comes across one of these C4 shells
Yeah.
and happens to pick one up, and then it's gonna explode.
Boom.
What are the odds of him picking up one of your stupid motherfucking seashells?
Well, we never did the math. We just thought it was cool as shit.
Okay, and you already did this.
We already put a lot of these planes in.
can you be
the
honest
only
with
ones
me?
we need your help with is the false flag ones.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a great idea. So yeah, Johnson, you hang around. You guys, yeah, you can go. I like it. I like it all.
Gentlemen, clear the room, please.
Yeah.
So
They're
Mr.
fired.
Okay, yeah, I thought so. That's fine.
Okay.
All right.
I want you to clean out your desk, and I want you.
What
to,
about Dulles, head of the CIA? Fired too?
Nah, he's all right. He's a good guy.
No, he's definitely fired.
Yeah, no, he's gone.
He fires Dulles, head of the CIA.
Yeah, no, he's gone.
So after this nonsense,
I fired Dulles.
he starts to think differently. JFK
What
starts,
happened to Tina's post? What post? Did she post something and then it went away? Because sometimes if you say some things, it'll automatically take them away, assuming, and then I have to clear them, or our channel, we have to clear them afterward. So who fucking knows? Dude, something happened weird with your post. Remember that?
Yeah, that was
You posted
weird.
answering
Yeah.
something on the short, and it didn't pop up. I could see it from my end, or from our end on the studio app, but we can't see it on YouTube. That was weird, right?
Yeah.
CTB, there she is.
Yeah, happy Tuesday.
The Queen of Queens.
Yeah, even Deb was saying there's doing a lot of sky spraying over Central Oregon. She's so worried about that.
Yeah, I know.
So that's
maybe,
fun.
maybe
Yeah.
good, maybe a reasonable ass. fear.
Yeah, it's good that she keeps everybody updated at least on this.
Yeah.
So Kennedy starts to think a little differently here. He starts firing people. He gets rid of these guys that he can't trust. He
Who
even
already
starts-
put these, and those were real. fucking
everything I
plans.
said there are
Everything you
there's
said was real.
documentation proving they tried all this stuff.
And was that true where they did it without his permission and just the false
Those were
flag shit they
CIA
wanted?
operations, clandestine operations that didn't require his. So the Joint Chiefs only needed him for the false flag operations to approve those.
Yeah.
Because that'd be very different. Faking.
Was there anything that he did approve
As far as this
as
goes,
far as a false flag?
no. So then we get to the Cuban Missile Crisis, where the Soviets are sending nuclear warheads over to Cuba.
Yeah.
We've already had U-2 spy planes take pictures of missiles in Cuba. So they have air defenses they're buying all this stuff. They have Russian MiGs, the helicopters. They're buying this stuff from Russia. Russia's providing them a lot of weapons and arms. And if Russia gets nukes,
machine guns, what are MiGs?
yeah, helicopters with rockets and machine guns. It was like one of the greatest weapons of the Cold War era.
Major intended,
They were
guns.
war machine helicopters. Yeah, they were badass.
but MiG.
We didn't have, the MiG. We didn't have anything even close
What
to
does that
that.
stand for, or is it not an acronym?
I'm sure it's like a
Most
the F-16.
insane gun. Bang. That's for
Sure,
what it
there you
stands
go.
for.
But it was a helicopter. I'm sure it's something in Russian and not in English.
Oh, it's Russian.
Yeah.
Okay. Motion word in the footer.
There you go. So anyway, so he starts thinking, especially during the Cuban Missile Crisis, that there has to be a better way. This is also the time where he's being pushed to do a preemptive nuclear strike against Russia. All of his advisors, they believe 100% that is the way to go. They're constantly saying,
So they're in his
"Sir,
ear.
we
saying,
have the chance right now. We could just push the button before they do because they're
Yikes.
going to do it." And so he's in this position where he's like,
but the button meaning nuclear.
exactly.
Jeez
They wanted him to strike at their nuclear bases
to
before they struck
turn
at
the
us.
Cold War hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They believed that they were going to do it first. And if we had, that meant we had to go first before they did it first.
Yeah.
Right?
That's what the whole Cold War was.
And they
Thankfully, it
truly
stayed a
believed
Cold War,
he
but
should do it. They told him to do it over and over and over again.
could you imagine if he did?
And he served in World War II. He saved lives. He saw combat, and so did Khrushchev. Right? He served in World War II for the Russians. The Russians gave more in that war than anyone on the Allied side. They lost so many people, and they won the Second World War as far as JFK was concerned. And he says so in a speech at a college.
Oh, that they helped. They're the reason that.
Right.
Okay.
So he starts thinking, even though we have these differences as far as what our ideologies are and what kind of government we believe works best,
That's the main
there's
thing.
got to be a way to not end the world, right? One of us we're going to get to a point where it's going to be the end of the world.
So he was trying to work with the Russian president.
So he decides Khrushchev is sending these missiles right to
Khrushchev,
our
the
border.
Russian president.
Yeah, Premier Khrushchev, they called him. So he says, if we won't invade Cuba, we'll completely take that option off the table if you don't bring nukes to Cuba. And Khrushchev says, well, in addition to that, I want you to remove your nuclear weapon systems in Turkey that are right on our border.
That sounds fair.
They tell JFK, don't do this. You cannot agree to this, right?
Damn.
And he starts to distrust these guys. They seem like they really want war. He doesn't. And he has a feeling Khrushchev doesn't want it either. He just gets this feeling. And so he goes around his own State Department that he doesn't trust anymore and opens up a direct dialogue with Premier Khrushchev and tells him, I can't go public with this.
Yeah.
But if you turn those ships around that are going to Cuba, I will remove the weapon systems in Turkey.
Oh,
Let's start
working together,
putting
man.
an end to this.
Yeah.
Khrushchev agrees, and at the last minute, the ships turn around, take the nukes back to USSR. Cuban Missile Crisis avoided.
Did anyone find out about this?
It came out later, but not at the time. All they knew is that the deal was not to invade Cuba. So JFK goes a step further. We're at this time during his presidency, I think we did something over 40 nuclear tests in the atmosphere, and he knew that this was hurting the planet. But it was also meant to show our might and the power of our weapons. And Russia was doing the same thing. They were doing these atmospheric nuclear tests.
Okay.
And he announces in a speech, I'm proposing a treaty to stop all nuclear testing, period. With the end goal
JFK says
disarmament.
this?
Yeah. He says
No more
the
testing
US is
on
going
nukes.
to stop the
shit.
testing of nuclear weapons with the end goal of disarmament.
Wow.
Then he goes to Khrushchev and says, would you do the same? And he said, yeah, I will. And they decide together that they're going to stop testing nuclear weapons, and he'll agree to nuclear inspections, and slowly together they'll disarm. Fully disarm, which means there would be no future where their nuclear weapons were an option. Every day on the news today, there is this fear that there is going to be some nuclear war. That would not be the case, right? Should this plan have gone all the way to fruition.
That conversation,
Khrushchev didn't
that dialogue between those two men.
Oh yeah, and this was a
changed the
dialogue that
course
had
of
to
the
be done
future.
through the State
Side
Department
secret channels
ambassadors and all this
shit.
back
Yeah,
channeling.
crazy.
No more. He had a direct line to him, and they would talk a lot for hours, and they started to see eye to eye on a lot. Something JFK also was interested in. They were both noticing incursions in their airspace that were not Russian or American.
Yeah.
And they started talking about both of them having these experiences, and they knew that there was something entering our atmosphere that wasn't from this planet. They knew. Right. So this is the 60s. This is post the 47 Roswell and the capture and the retrieval programs. And JFK wasn't privy to any of that information, but he knew there was a UFO phenomenon.
Yeah.
So he requests from the CIA all documentation regarding the UFO phenomenon because he wants to give it to Khrushchev.
Could you imagine?
Everything we know about that subject and he's going to give it to them.
And they'd share what they had.
Exactly.
Dude,
Because
could you imagine countries working together on the UFO program and shit?
dude, the goal was a joint space program between Russia and America. That was the reason.
What do we got, Chase saying? Read here. We didn't get to read this one from here.
I'm not going to read that one. I'm going to read, I'll go a little bit lower. Let me see what I can
yeah, I'm
say.
glad for us to see it, but maybe not read it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
Because we got to be careful about what we say. Or
Yeah, I
otherwise
read
these
some
episodes
letters
get
that
blocked.
were taken from
German officers
Yep.
in World War II that said that 80 battles and many different enemies, America's are by far the bravest soldiers.
Fuck, that's dumb.
Oh, dude, yeah. America, I mean,
It's the patriotism, like you were saying
beacon.
before, dude. You give somebody that
yeah.
patriotism, something to fight for. You light that fire under their ass, man. The things they'll do, like, man, just think of same with religion. Think of these people blowing themselves up.
Yeah, JFK served, right? Yeah. He came from a family of wealth, and he didn't have to. He chose to sign up and serve. He like Steve Rogers, right? It called him. This is a boy that grew up with health problem after health problem, almost died several times from just small illnesses because of, where medicine was at that time.
Yeah.
He spent so many of his younger years in a bed, sick, reading. That's what he did. And he was very sick, and still they let him serve, even though he was like this close to not being healthy enough.
Yeah.
Harvard swim team. And that came in handy when the boat he was on got sank, and he had to drag a soldier that was badly burned by his teeth with a belt in the ocean. He dragged him for miles swimming.
It's the craziest.
Isn't that
I've
crazy?
heard.
So yeah, he really served and really saw
that hurts.
combat. Saw hell.
Don't put the belt there. That hurts. All right.
Yeah, dragging someone by his teeth. Yeah, no, his JFK's teeth.
Oh, he's holding like
holding his belt.
That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah,
I'm like, well, just put it on his neck.
No, yeah,
that's crucial.
The guy was so badly burned, all he could do was lay there and look up. He tells the story of just staring up, and he could just hear JFK's breathing, like labored breathing as he swam him for miles to get him to safety.
And that man's name
crazy.
was Elon.
So that's kind of man he was. He tells a story. RFK Jr. tells a story of how Bobby and JFK and even their father, they would take them around to poorer neighborhoods and say, because they came from money. Joe made a lot of money, and they were wealthy, and they had a wealthy family name. And
who's Joe?
Joe Kennedy, his father, JFK's father,
Joseph Kennedy.
Yeah. So he would tell them, these are our people in those poor neighborhoods. He'd say, these are the people that we need to help, that need us.
Oh.
He said, rich people, they have everything they need. They don't need us. They don't need lawyers. They don't need, they have it all. These people, they're our people. That's who we need to help. That's why we're here, is to do for them.
And he takes that sentiment to the presidency.
Yes, he does. And you can tell he does because he realizes that war's not the answer. Combat's not the answer.
Dude.
False flags aren't the answer.
What about his biggest speech of all time, the most memorable speech? Everyone remembers not ask what your country can do for
inaugurational speech. Yeah,
country.
it's a good one.
But during that speech, he mentions, secrecy. No bueno. He said full transparency of the government.
Yeah.
That secrecy is the death of democracy type. Dude, it's such a good fucking speech. But think of he's saying this shit in this landscape.
Right.
Of these sneaky bastards, these warmongers.
Yeah.
Dude, he's not lasting long.
That's the scary part.
Yeah,
he's telling these military and CIA guys that I'm not going to do it your way, and I'm going to limit your power. He does start limiting the power of the CIA around this time. Their ability to do combat operations, he starts to take those things away. So they're like, wait a second, like, who are you?
Yeah.
Right?
Real quick.
They think they run the show.
Yeah.
The president, how dare he tell us
what do you
to
think?
do?
Yeah, who do you think you are?
Yeah.
Oh, no, motherfucker. Who do you all think you are? Yeah. So real quick, just top of your head. Quick. Greatest two presidents of all time. Go.
Most impactful, I would say JFK and probably Lincoln.
What do they have in common?
Civil rights is a big one.
And they were both assassinated.
And they were both killed.
Is
Yeah.
that fucking wild? The better you do, the shorter your term is.
Yikes.
Is that wild?
That's sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I would agree with that's why I asked.
Yeah.
I would agree. Those As far as impact, yeah. As far as what they fucking did, are you kidding me?
And today we're going to talk about the impact should he not have been assassinated, right? Because we're already talking about a few things he wanted to do that didn't get done because he died. Yeah. So one is a joint space program with Russia and full transparency and partnership with them. This how could he? The communists? Like, how could he do this?
So there's like an early Space Force, but its own type of thing.
And UFO transparency with the people. He was anti-secrecy. We would have had that.
Oh, yeah.
That means breakthroughs in technology, too. So you're talking free energy. You're talking any breakthroughs that could help the country.
And he's setting a precedent. So now people would follow suit.
Yeah, you can't turn around and make it. Once it's out of the bag, it's out of the bag.
Yeah, you would look like the biggest piece of shit if you're like, oh, now we're going to start hiding all this information.
Right.
They'd be like, no, fuck you.
The country wouldn't stand for it.
No, hell no.
Yeah.
So that changed. Mm-hmm. So that's one huge one.
That's one big one. Khrushchev, even, we'll get to the assassination.
So up to now, let's hop in conspiracy corner right now.
Sure.
But up to this point, we have things that would be different for sure.
Yep.
Are one, the UFO space program.
Yep, UFO transparency and a space program partnership.
Yeah.
Disarmament.
With Russia.
Full nuclear disarmament.
Third, full nuclear disarmament.
Yeah, third.
So we have space program, working with Russia, full nuclear disarmament. These are three of the biggest things in the
What if you took nuclear, all of the mines and the effort and the money that were going into nukes, and you partnered with the other superpower that had the mines, the money, and the nukes, and you turned that to something else?
Green energy, space programs,
definitely.
Whatever the fuck.
We would. Oh, the moon.
Yeah,
easy peasy. If we were partnered with Russia on that.
Russia was so far ahead of us as far as
what about satellites, all that stuff. We get all of these
telescopes,
things sooner.
Satellites.
Yeah,
Russia did everything. Yeah,
yeah.
We would have had all this shit sooner. Yeah.
We would have had UFO disclosure. So we would have had that technology, and we would have shared it, and they would have shared with us, and we would have made breakthroughs sooner. It would have been open source to the greatest minds in the world.
If we're being honest. Yeah, if we're being honest, the Russia killed it as far as the space race.
Oh yeah,
killed it.
Yeah, they were wow.
We just went to the moon first.
Yeah,
landed on the moon, and we're like, we got your bitches. But really, it's like,
and that speaks to JFK's. He was a dreamer, and the speech he gives about it, where he says, "We will go to the moon, not because it's easy, but because it is hard."
Yeah,
that's amazing. That's who he is. Like. There's no reason to go there. We could see what's up there. There's nothing there. It is a barren wasteland with no purpose other than just to show the achievement of science up to this point, and what people can do when they work together and what they can accomplish. It's a dream come true, right? And that means something to people.
I actually have a video of after Kennedy was assassinated, the CIA. I have a video from that. I want to show after we talk about that.
Okay, yeah. So before he leaves to Texas, on that fateful, to that fateful day,
he heads to Dallas, Texas, in 1963.
Right before he heads out there, he's given a report of the losses in Vietnam, and he sees the soldiers, the American soldiers that lost their lives in Vietnam up to this point, and he says, and it's recorded, that after he reads that, he says, when I get back from Texas, this is going to change. He had a piece of legislation he was introducing that was going to pull 1,000 soldiers out of Vietnam. And by 65, a complete pull out of Vietnam by 65, meaning done. We're out. It's not, if
but
that would have happened.
How are they going to pay me for tanks if we pull out?
The big three, Lockheed Martin was one of the contractors for Vietnam. General Dynamics, big contractor. Boeing, those were the big three.
Surprise.
So these are companies we know. That they make billions when we go to war. They love it. So you've got an angry CIA that doesn't want him working with Khrushchev, because then if we don't have this scary enemy to rally the people behind, they won't let us go to war. In Vietnam. They won't let us. We can't scare them with nuclear war. To
the warmongers
stop the communism.
hate him. The CIA hates him.
Yep.
He went around the DOD magnets, to talk to,
because he lowered the price of steel. So all these big corporation heads that a lot of people believe run policy and have legislators in their pockets, the heads of Boeing and Lockheed and General Dynamics and these types of companies, oil companies, they all are like, oh, this guy is really making things hard for us.
He's not helping. This
Right.
guy's not helping.
So we can get into the conspiracy corner after. So he wants to put an end to Vietnam, and he goes on the campaign trail to Texas.
Yeah. So what are you saying, Jared? You're saying we're jumping into the fucking
Let's talk about the assassination of JFK.
conspiracy corner. One conspiracy.
Yeah.
One corner. Two men. One conversation. So what do we got for the CC?
Well, I mean, there was a commission put together in the 70s that look back on. It was the assassination of MLK and JFK. The Committee on Assassinations, basically, is what it was called. And they concluded that JFK was killed by a conspiracy. They concluded this. They knew the evidence was there. But at the time of the assassination, a couple things happened. Right before he goes to Texas, in Chicago, 4 snipers are arrested. 2 of them escape custody, but they had a 4-man team that they were going to use to assassinate the president in Chicago. Sounds kind of familiar, right? A 4-man team to put him into a triangulated crossfire. One guy worked in the building above the motorcade route.
Oh, God damn.
It's exactly what happens in Texas. They just caught these guys, right? So the 2 of them,
they nip that in the bud,
right?
As opposed
That
to
one,
this
but it was a guy working in a building on the motorcade route that was going to shoot.
So who stopped them in Chicago?
Secret Service caught on to what was going to happen and stopped it. So they saved that one. When he goes to Texas, the entire thing is silly when you really dive into the details here. But from the book depository roof or 6th floor, you can see down Elm. And as the president's coming up, he has open view and can shoot straight directly at him for a long time.
He doesn't. He waits.
He waits until he makes this turn that goes almost to a complete stop. And why would you wait unless you were trying to get him into a triangulated
kill zone?
Zone, and that's the theory. Yeah. And right after the shots are fired, hundreds of witnesses point at the grassy knoll and say, there was a guy up there shooting, and we all saw, and we tried to catch him even. And there were people showing credentials.
He looked like the comedian from Watchmen.
That were never accounted for, yeah.
He looked like Magneto.
There was a bunch of people there that had Secret Service credentials that weren't Secret Service officers, local police that weren't really police officers that had never been found again. People that were taken into custody, but there's no record of them ever being taken into custody. There's all kinds of shit like that.
You know what's always fascinated me was, so the magic bullet theory and all that. It's like, okay, what? That doesn't make any sense.
Right.
But even more crazy. Let's say this bullet somehow bing bounces around this guy's the wrist, this guy's that.
Yeah.
Somehow that happens.
Yeah.
How is there a perfect bullet on his gurney?
Yeah, so one of the Secret Service officers, when they get to the hospital, he actually sees a bullet lodged in the seat, Connolly's seat, and he knows that that's evidence. So this is new.
When was this released?
This was just 3 years ago. This guy came forward, a very much older gentleman now. He felt that this was a piece of the puzzle that should be in the public.
Yeah, bub.
Yeah, he did. He
fucking 40, 50 years ago.
He said he had a decision to make. He could do nothing, or he could take the bullet out and put it on the president's gurney. He goes, after that, I don't know how it got to Connolly's gurney. He doesn't know how it got to JFK's gurney.
He
goes, I don't know how that happened, but I saw the bullet in Connolly's seat. I pulled it out, and so that
he wanted to make sure it wasn't lost in the fucking in the circus.
Yeah.
So he put it on.
It was evidence, so he thought he should come forward and let people know that that's how that bullet got there. So that's probably not the bullet that went through all the different bones.
If that's true,
yeah,
that's not the bullet that went through all the bones. He found it in Connolly's seat.
Yeah.
So that bullet is accounted for.
Yep.
So it's not just one bullet. That's almost guaranteeing. So this man 3 years ago, a much older gentleman. I assume if he was Secret Service in the 63, he's a much older man in his 80s.
3 years ago, he was an old guy. Yeah, and I think that's probably why he finally came forward. He's like, I got to tell my story before I die. Yeah, and just so that people know that that's how it got there.
Hey, so who's gonna come out with a JFK If He Lived episode soon?
Yeah.
What's that fucking channel?
Oh, yeah.
Don't even shout him out. Just
I won't. I can't remember. Yeah, I remember. I think.
give me the initials.
CL.
Yeah, those fucking.
Yeah, they happen to do a lot of topics that we touch
Right after
days
we fucking touch 'em.
afterwards.
Like,
Yeah.
get out of here.
So let's see if they do this one. I'll be interested to see that. So
Especially now that we said this.
we have the other things. There was this the Patsy Oswald.
Yeah.
There was a lot of evidence of him. He has a Russian wife. He's a Russian
orgy
defector.
of evidence, as they say.
He's in Mexico. There's recordings of him saying, if you don't take me into custody, I might kill the president. Like, just overtly trying to show how communist he is, and
I might even load up a magic bullet in my rifle.
Right, silly shit. And somehow gets a job on the route the president's motorcade's going on, and they don't flag him.
Hey, you're saying some really insane shit.
Yeah, come on.
So, JFK is going to come to Dealey Plaza soon. Do you want to work at the library?
This guy's fine. He's fine. But we have evidence now that the FBI and the CIA had been watching him for months up to this point.
So what is a book suppository? You just put a book in your anus?
Depository? Yeah,
Terrible
right.
joke.
There's a lot of theories around this of how it was done, but we know somebody was on the grassy knoll. There was too many witnesses. Everybody, the bullets.
People saw a person. Other people saw muzzle flashes.
Shots being
a lot of people
counted,
say they saw a man with a badge.
Yeah. Well,
On the
most of those
grassy knoll.
witnesses are dead. Somehow, within those few years after his death, all of the people that had actually eyewitnessed someone on the grassy knoll, the guy that worked at the train station, the woman that was hanging out with the two assassins from the night before, she was like a prostitute.
Yeah.
They're all dead, died in car accidents in strange ways.
Excuse me, miss.
Yes.
Can you open the door, please? Police.
Do I have to?
Actually, you don't.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
You have a warrant?
I
Okay,
don't.
I'm opening the door.
Okay. You said you saw something at the
I
Dealey
saw
Plaza.
everything.
What, what do you mean everything?
I saw the umbrella man and
Hold on.
wait. Ah!
Or knowing this show.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you saw that? Oh yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, the wrong
I always hit the wrong
drops
fucking
are the
drop.
best.
Yeah.
That's like one of my favorite things.
I'll say a donation yet.
Yeah.
Oh fuck.
So we could do a whole episode on the assassination itself.
Straight up.
But what we can say is enough evidence has come forward to show that it's a conspiracy. We had Congress do a special panel on assassinations where they concluded it was a conspiracy. And we have documents that should have been released multiple times that are not being released. They keep being hidden because what it points to is a coup.
It's a bad look. Yeah.
CIA decided they wanted someone else in office, so they did what they do best, and they replaced
we know they
a leader.
can do. They've done it on foreign soil many a time.
Yeah.
They just did it on U.S. soil.
Yeah, and that information that it shows that there was a coup in this country that was executed perfectly.
Dude, it's just not cool.
The Warren Commission's job was just the Warren Commission job. Their sole purpose was to prove that there wasn't a conspiracy, so that people would stop worrying.
Cool. Yeah.
That was their job.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that.
You know who was on that commission? Alan Dulles, the guy he just fired from the CIA.
Yeah.
A guy that would have a lot of pull and would be able to put pawns in the right places to pull something like this off.
And would have,
It's
fucking
gross.
motive because he's like, oh yeah, JFK. Oh yeah, pal.
The whole thing is gross.
Plus, so what does Lyndon B have to gain?
So a lot of
he's
people
involved.
A lot of
Is he
people
involved?
believe he was. There's a lot of evidence that he was that was his state.
Dude, yeah. And
Yeah.
the picture on the plane when he's getting sworn in.
Yeah, unnecessary. Completely unnecessary.
First of all, completely fucking unnecessary.
The continuity of government is very clear. There is no need for a ceremony to swear him in. We know he takes over in the event that the president is killed.
On
That
Air Force One, like
pointless.
What the fuck?
No need for that.
It's like showmanship.
It is.
It's odd.
It's almost like a celebration.
like a slap,
of sorts.
like a slap in America's fucking
It's
face.
gross.
Like, oh, we did it! Ha 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 ha! High five! And then you see the guy, like his right hand dude, like his homie, and
It's super gross.
he's doing like a weird little smirk. It's like, what the fuck could you be smirking about?
First thing he says is, "I won't be the president that loses Vietnam."
Yeah. Your friend just got his head blown off.
Yeah, you're
What
president.
the fuck are you on about?
You're president. Yeah. What
You got what you wanted, fucker. Yeah.
The movie JFK, when he gets assassinated, the district attorney says, "I'm embarrassed to be an American today." That's a great line. A lot of people felt that way. People that were alive back then that lived through that, they felt that.
It's a hell of a thing to say.
Yeah, like, how could we let this happen in our own country? Like, how could
Let
we,
this happen.
to him?
Yeah.
So, what takes a huge step backwards? Civil rights, nuclear disarmament. Never
Transparency.
happens. Full transparency.
Governmental
The elimination of secrecy in the CIA.
The elimination of the CIA.
Right. Their ability to
They're like,
to
oh, wait.
do certain things that they do.
Let me weigh my options here. I'm Johnny CIA and I work for the CIA. Let JFK go through with this and dissolve everything I've worked towards and for, or we take the fucker out. I keep my job and I move up the ranks.
And you don't need a lot of people. Not everybody needs to be involved in this, right? So not all the CIA is bad. You only need a small group of rogue assholes to say the ones that know who, and that LBJ was their guy. He was okay with everything they wanted to do. He would have had to have been in some way complicit, at least after the fact, know that there was something amiss here. All kinds of evidence goes missing. The recordings of Oswald's voice goes missing, so they can't do the voice match.
Even if we want to say that maybe somehow the mob killed him and it was unrelated to anything with the government, the fucking hoops they jumped through to cover this shit up.
Yeah. Well, you know who didn't kill him? Castro, because he was in talks with Castro.
Yeah.
He was he prevented the invasion. He wasn't okay with the assassinations of him or his people or the false flags. He was in open talks with him, and Khrushchev, who Castro was getting support from, knew that he would have a better chance with JFK than with LBJ.
Than anyone. Yeah.
He even says it out loud. Castro's first words when he gets the news of JFK's assassination is, everything's about to change. Literally, he goes, "Everything's changed. Everything's about to change."
Repeat that sentence because I ruined it with my fuck.
They give him the news. Castro's at lunch, and they say JFK was just murdered. And he says, so you know it wasn't him. He goes, "Everything's just changed. Everything is about to change." That's his words. He didn't do it. The
Russian president said
premier. No, that's Castro.
Castro. I'm sorry. The Cuban prime minister says.
The Russian premier says, "I had a better chance with JFK than I will with LBJ."
And that's fact.
That's as far as peace talks, disarmament.
And we know that to be true.
The battle for communism, Vietnam, and talks in Cuba, and all these things.
And we know that because that's the timeline that played out.
Exactly. That's the actual timeline. So imagine now the assassination doesn't happen. Yeah. He lives. We get steps towards disarmament, right? Both countries stop launching nukes, stop making nukes, and work together.
So he stays in talks with Khrushchev, and Castro.
Yeah.
Nuclear disarmament. So now
embargo's probably lifted.
Yep. Cold War over.
Mafia gets to start making money again because they got their casinos in Havana. So they're doing well. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's a huge thing is the casinos they had.
Yeah.
They made money. So yet they would have lost so much money.
Yeah.
If because Castro didn't Castro said, he was quoted saying that the casinos were going to be the downfall of Cuba.
Like ruin to the country.
Yeah. That they basically what's the term? Like they corrupted the people.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, they had a lot of issues with that.
He did,
So now Vietnam, we lost almost 60,000 American soldiers. 3.8 million people died in Vietnam. And it didn't end until 75. That would have ended in 65. So it would have been 10 years of war in Vietnam that we wouldn't have had if JFK would have survived. And because his plan was to pull out by 65. So there's the end. So how many of those people live? That's an insane amount of people that live.
Yeah.
So we would have prevented all of that death, and money, resources, and time would have gone from a nuclear program to a space program, which to me looks like from there, all of industry, all the technology and industry growth from that science and working together with their scientists, we would have had something like free energy, maybe the end of poverty, maybe the end of impoverished nations.
Could you fucking imagine?
Yeah. What else would have ended? So that's LBJ. LBJ continued the war in Vietnam. Thousands die. Civil rights take a step backwards and get on the put on the back burner. And he personally was a criminal in so many ways. I mean, just outright, you might as well say it. I mean, he's linked to several homicides before he becomes vice president. He had like his own personal hitman that kept every time they would arrest him, he'd just get out of jail and no charges brought. But there were people that were trying to shake him down for money because they knew the criminal activities that he was involved in, and a lot of people got disappeared. So yeah. He had ties to like all kinds of criminal activity, honestly. So we don't get an LBJ presidency should Kennedy survive, and we don't get the Vietnam War. So that's just LBJ.
We get the end of the Vietnam War.
Yeah. It ends in 65. Yeah. We get partnership with Russia and the end of the Red Scare and the Cold War. Right there. Boom, 65. So no more scare, no more Cold War, no more nuke scare. And so who's next?
Well, and we're also getting movement towards that money that would be going towards wars and shit, putting in other places.
Infrastructure.
If we're working infrastructure.
Yep.
Energy.
The growth of the middle class.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because like his father told him and his brother, these are the people we fucking care about. These are our people.
His brother would have been next in line, I think.
Yeah. We're not talking, not the elites or not the 1%.
The imperialists.
These people are who
the
we
New
care
World
about.
Order.
These are our people. This is the middle class.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been a different fucking landscape. It would have been a different world.
Yes. And like you said, there's no going back, right? No. There's no going back without you being the bad guy.
Yeah.
So the next presidents would have had to follow suit. And his brother probably would have been elected. Who was elected after LBJ?
It was Nixon.
So what happened during Nixon's presidency?
So scandal. Scandal was abound. So as we all know, so first of all, real quick, something I realized, a Rockefeller was the vice president for, what's his name? What's that guy's name?
Truman? Eisenhower? Was
Ford.
it before?
For Ford.
Okay, for Ford. Okay.
Gerald Ford.
Short presidency.
His, what was it? It was 74 to 77, 3 years. So a Rockefeller was his fucking vice president, bro.
Yeah.
How crazy is that?
Rockefellers have funded.
J.D. Rockefeller's son
That's fucking
was
wild.
the VP.
Yeah, that's wild.
Dude, it's so crazy. And we've talked about them previously on the episode. What was it called? Like the American Dynasties. Crazy.
Yeah.
But
check that episode out.
Yeah, I'll put the link.
We went into like, the Chase. What's it called?
Chase Mack.
Who was that? Who was that asshole that stopped Tesla's research?
Oh God. Jeffrey Thomas Edison. Who you talking about?
No, the banker that did all the railroad. They had the railroad monopoly.
There's Rockefeller and there's it's another R.
It's Chase. What's the full name of Chase?
Oh,
Bank?
J.P. Morgan.
Thank you, J.P. Morgan. Yeah.
Yeah, that piece of
that
shit.
clown. Yeah, he set us back 100 years in technology just by being a prick.
JFK and Trump are almost alike. Okay. So Nixon, 79 to 74. He was pardoned by Ford after he was about to be impeached because he didn't want all his crimes exposed.
Right.
Yeah. So
yeah.
crimes?
Even Bush, he appointed Bush as head of CIA. So this is the beginning of the Bush power. is during Nixon.
Yeah. So, Bush is he's a few presidents later. He is. It goes
But this
Nixon,
is,
Ford, Carter, Reagan.
But I'm saying this is the
Bush.
beginning of his influence.
Yeah.
Nixon made him.
Oh no.
chief
Yeah,
of
no.
the CIA.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
So we don't have a Bush CIA chief, right? So what are the ramifications of that going forward? We'll talk about it when
Would
we
he
get
even
there.
become president?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So there's a chance that might not even have happened.
Shit.
Bush, his link to the CIA started where he started making his wealth in oil money in the 60s during JFK's presidency.
Yeah.
If the CIA gets basically handcuffed and a lot of their power taken away, do they use him at all? What would they need him for? Does he have that connection anymore? Does that lead to him running? Maybe not. Do we? So that I mean, the butterflies on
the
this
ripples.
thing, are
It's crazy.
everywhere. So keep going.
So, as we know, Watergate, we all heard the term, but do we know what happened? Do we know what it means?
Yeah.
If you don't, I'll explain it a little bit.
Yeah.
The Reader's Digest abridged version. So, some people say he did. Many say he didn't commission this, but it's believed he did.
Yeah.
That he broke into the Democratic National Committee headquarters.
Yeah.
And he had it bugged so he could spy on his political opponents.
Yeah.
And not a good look.
Nope.
Not a good look.
Yeah.
And he got caught. And then, so he did a couple things that were cool, but I think there's like two sides to it. And when I was doing my research, I'm like, wait a minute, if he did this, but it's sort of for like another episode.
Okay.
So he proposed the creation of the EPA.
Yeah.
Which is solid, right?
Yeah.
Expanded the Clean Air Act, solid. Lowered the voting age to 18 so students could vote.
Yeah.
But then you see stuff like that, you're like, oh, cool. So he cares about like students and stuff. But then when 4 college students are murdered while protesting Vietnam, peacefully protesting Vietnam, he calls them bums
Yeah.
nationally.
So that doesn't happen if the Vietnam War ends.
No.
So
there's no protesting war that ended.
Aren't lost.
Nope.
Yeah.
So with JFK being for transparency and against secrecy and spying on Americans, which is what he was doing,
Right.
which is what Nixon was fucking doing.
Yeah.
Would Watergate have occurred?
I don't believe so.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Would Nixon have ever even won over Hubert Humphrey, who was LBJ's vice president? Who was
if Bobby would have
Democrat.
ran after JFK's second term? Because Bobby was, loved by the people.
Shoo-in,
He
a
was,
shoo-in.
it's
A
just like
fucking
a
shoo-in.
Bush situation here,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Except
yeah. Not brothers instead of
exactly, yeah. There's a good chance that Nixon is too old to run by the time he's able to. If we get 2 terms of Bobby, this is just speculation at this point.
Well, this is the other time.
But imagine the guy who stops the Red Scare and the nuclear scare. He's a hero to
of
the
course.
people.
Of course.
And his brother, who was in charge of
he's a
he was
hero to the
secret
people on
weapon.
both sides.
Yeah, exactly.
Shit.
Yeah, so his secret weapon was Bobby. When he needed something done, Bobby take care of it. Puts Bobby in charge of this, and it gets done. That would have been an obvious. He even told Bobby when he got elected, "You're next." He told his little brother that you're next.
Yeah.
And that's sad.
He didn't know. He didn't know. Yeah, what he was referring to. Yeah.
After
next,
me,
buddy.
You're next, right?
Sucks.
If you listen to RFK Jr.'s theory about who killed his father, it was the same people that would kill.
He doesn't
killed his
believe that
uncle.
it was Sirhan Sirhan.
It's the military-industrial complex, the CIA. That's who he
Dude,
believes.
we're talking billions, trillions at some points of dollars, man.
Yeah.
It'd be hard for these amoral fuckers to be like, nah, it's
Right.
okay if we. No, there's no option. It's the only option is, war. War is money. We want money.
Yeah. So,
crazy.
Yeah, there's a chance there is no Nixon, but let's say Nixon does run and gets elected after the second term of JFK. There's probably no Watergate. There's no apparatus to pull this off because they would have cleaned house.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
there's none of that.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And what are the ramifications of just a world without the Watergate scandal?
And a world without a Bush CIA chief.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we know Reagan ends up using Bush as his vice president. because of his experience as CIA
As a
chief
CIA chief.
and what happens during
So
Reagan.
if he's not a CIA chief, then he's not the vice president. Then he's not he's not the former vice president, soon to be running president. Would he even run for president if he wasn't the vice president? If he never was the CIA?
Yeah, that's so. This is the thought experiment part.
Yeah.
So Bush was involved in the Iran-Contra scandal. So again, this was CIA training and selling weapons to insurgents to overthrow a government. That probably doesn't happen if JFK has his way, right?
Yeah.
Those types of operations completely cease. So we don't have Iran-Contra. We don't have Bush at this time is also making friends with a specific group in Saudi Arabia and a family, the Bin Ladens.
The Bin Laden family.
And he gets very close with these folks. And he starts, because he's an oil man, he also invades Iraq under what is later found out to be false pretenses. So we don't
WMDs
get
that
the
didn't
Gulf
exist,
War. The Gulf War doesn't happen. No, that's the second one.
Oh, I thought you were talking
Bush
about
Senior.
Bush Jr. Yeah.
No, Bush Senior. The Gulf War was
Neither happened.
Yeah,
frankly, yeah.
They went to Iraq and said, if you invade Kuwait, we'll stand down because we don't care about this situation at all. As soon as they go and say Kuwait owes us money and this is our land, and they invade, Bush gets on TV. This is an outrage.
Can you believe these sons of bitches? Yeah.
And they tell this story, the incubator story. I'm not even going to get into it because it's so disgusting and obscene.
Yeah.
But that's later found to be a fake story. Yeah. And so the invasion happens under false pretenses. We train a bunch of insurgents and soldiers, and those insurgents later become terrorists.
Middle Eastern. We train Middle Eastern,
and we arm them, we train them, and
teach them how to fire.
Later, becoming terrorists that attack our country,
that kill U.S. soldiers.
We can say that never happens if Bush doesn't become a CIA chief.
So let me ask you this: we're jumping ahead a little bit.
Yeah.
Does 9/11 happen?
I don't think so.
Crazy as fuck.
I don't think it does. Really? I think we have flying fucking cars. I think we have free energy.
Well, if we don't go down the route of killing off everybody who comes up with a cool idea,
everything's militarized, everything's hidden.
Yeah.
It all can be weaponized so none of it can be out there in the open.
You want a nuclear powered car? You're crazy. Nope.
The nuclear weapon was supposed to be world
hydrogen?
Peace.
You're crazy. Uh-huh.
Yeah, it was supposed to be world peace, the nuclear weapon. It was supposed to be the end of wars, because a weapon like that, nobody wins, right? So that was supposed to be the weapon that said, this is it, the end of war.
Yeah.
And if we partner with Russia and put aside idealistic differences for the good of humanity and the advancement of science, we don't have any of this military industrial complex using these technologies for their own purposes, for weapons, and instead it goes into making the people's lives better and ending poverty.
Yeah,
there's
enhancing the middle class. Yeah. So real quick, do you know what the S stood for in Ulysses S. Grant?
Sandra Bullock.
It's Ulysses Sandra Bullock Grant. You fucking
he's the best
monster.
What is it then?
Ulysses
monster.
Isn't even to say such a thing. Sandra Bullock. Yeah, S stands for a full fucking name. You goof. Stupid.
Oh yeah.
Of an actress that he'll never meet because she's born decades
Steven
after his
Spielberg
fucking death.
Grant. Okay, go ahead.
Thanks. No, it didn't stand for anything because it was nothing. His first name wasn't even Ulysses.
Like J. Allen Hynek. Or no, who's Oppenheimer? That was in the movie.
What
remember?
the fuck did you just say though?
J. Allen Hynek.
Oh yeah,
What's
that
his
chestnut.
He ran Blue Book.
Oh duh.
He was remember the scientist in charge of Blue Book?
Oh, Operation Blue Book
Project, but
Blue Book. That's what I don't know anything. Harry S. Truman. You know what the S stood for in Harry S. Truman?
Yeah, Spielberg.
It was actually Sandra Bullock. I can't believe you got that wrong.
Oh shit! What was it?
Nothing again.
Really?
Yeah.
These are all just letters?
Yeah,
that's stupid.
I think
whose idea was that?
Truman did it because he thought, oh, Ulysses did it and it sounded cool. I think that's
Harry S. Truman.
He's in front of the mirror. He's like, hi there, I'm Harry Truman.
No, it's not enough.
I'm Harriet Truman? No, that's not good. I'm Harry
I'm Harry Balzania face.
Your hairy balls on my face. No, balls on your face.
Balzania face.
Yeah. Remember our friend Harry?
Balzania.
Harry balls on your face? Yeah. Well, his last name was your face. His middle name was on Harry balls on your face. It's the stupidest fucking thing. I hate that I even said it. I hate that I repeated it. But yeah, so Harry Sandra Bullock Truman was
I love it. Yeah, it's just nonsense.
It's just
they just threw letters
dribble.
in. That's I guess it does make you sound more like a statesman.
Robert Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
But it's just
what is the J fan? So apparently nothing. That's a good line in the movie.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Yeah.
It's an okay movie. It's no Inception. Hey, dude, real quick, before we move on, do you want to take a little detour into fucking wild fun land, silly land?
Yeah. We can take a break from this for a second. Hey, guys, keep it up in the chat. Just because we're not reading it out loud doesn't mean we're not reading it.
Reading it,
and we'll get to some of the stuff in the chat. But you guys are like loving this. I can tell you're into it. So. Yeah, so please like and subscribe. Don't forget, because we always forget to say it.
We forget to say like and subscribe.
Yeah.
So make sure you like and subscribe. Hey, Jared, speaking of liking and subscribing.
Yeah, speaking of.
You want to see what I like and subscribe to?
Sure.
That's how I talk now.
Cameron S. Bizarre.
Dude, I love that, by the way, more than fucking anything on this planet.
Peter S. Bizarre.
Is that everyone had in D12, the rap group, everyone had, it's D12 like because there's identities. 6 guys with their personalities split, fucking you up with hit after hit.
Right.
So there's Eminem,
Slim Shady Eminem,
Slim
right?
Shady,
yeah.
Right. There's
Conniving con artist.
Aren't those two different people?
No, I think that was him. Conniver and con artist were his two names. I think.
And then there's other ones, but the best is there's Bizarre, and then there's Peter S. Bizarre. You fucking
that was his alternate ID. Yeah. Wait a second.
My grandmother sucked my.
You're not Bizarre.
Yeah.
You're Peter S. Bizarre.
Ah, you got me. Hold on. Ready now. Oh, it's Bizarre, the rapper.
Oh wait, never mind. It's Peter S. Bizarre.
Yeah, because my grandmother. And I didn't call. It's like, why would you write that down, you demonstrable piece of shit?
I'm surprised that Eminem read these lyrics and was like, oh my gosh, we have to put this in the song.
Oh, but I do want to show after.
Oh, yeah. You have
Kennedy,
a video of the CIA after the successful assassination of Kennedy.
I have a video of the key players in the assassination.
Yep.
Right after it was all said and done.
Right. When they got away with it.
The day after.
Yeah.
This is their meeting, and there's actual footage of it.
Yeah.
All right, hold on.
There's actual footage of it.
Yeah.
This whole time we have this.
Oh, no, hold on. Yeah, I know. I got to find a good song for this. Let's just do our theme. No, our theme doesn't.
No, yeah, because that sounds like the show's ending, but it's not.
Yeah, it's not. Oh, I could do this. You know what I'll do?
Okay. Okay.
This is it, guys. This
is them.
Yeah.
We did it. Oh, we got him.
Oh, there he is. Ah, yeah, the crazy son of a bitch.
Rich.
There's only one part with sound. Ready?
I love that they're drinking scotch, too. Oh, my God. Uh-oh.
Under arrest.
Oh, just kidding. We're all buds here.
Yeah, we're back.
Oh, come on. This was great. You did so well.
I edited this.
I wish Sandra Bullock was in this.
Why?
Just because we've talked about her.
Okay. All right. So let me show you something, buddy.
Yeah.
I don't think you're ready for it.
Wu-Tang started this with the different names. That's funny. Yeah.
Yeah. Like Bizarre and Peter S. Bizarre. All right, check this out. This killed me. I love the no sound. Hold on.
Yeah. Can the audience see this?
Yeah, but how the fuck do I ding ding ding? Okay. Yeah, they can see it.
No.
He does sound effects for his midget
How
mom.
Frustrating.
He's so good though.
Enough.
That was good.
Don't
Yeah.
even do that.
I want this. It's like my dream to have somebody do this for me.
right?
Halloween? Holy shit. She has to like beg
Yeah.
him to stop. That's genius.
It's the Mario Kart. So good.
Oh, dude, that's brilliant.
Isn't that great? I got more though. Right?
Yeah, I always wished there was like someone like doing that for me. Like,
I know, right?
Playing music when I walked into a room and shit. And sound
Recently, I
effects.
did hear about a new translation out
is the
called the
best.
Gen Z Bible, where
Check
someone
this shit
had
out.
taken the scriptures and translated it into Gen Z language. Now, I'm going to read part of this. I do want to let you know I would never dishonor God's word. I have triple checked this to make sure this is exactly what Luke 1 communicates when the angel talks to Mary. Check this out. Mary was a pick-me girl for God and was simping for him in prayer when the angel Gabriel appeared to her and said, "Ayo, you're a real one and the top G is feeling you." But she thought his compliment was sus and gave him the side eye. So he said, "Baby girl, chill. God sent me to tell you you've passed his vibe check. And low-key, he wants you to have the main character. You name him Jesus, and they will all say, he's him." She said, "How can this be since I promised him my body count will always be 0? Respectfully. He said, "This ain't about cuffing season, for the Holy Spirit will live rent-free in you, and your boy Jesus will be a divine bro. Besides, your cousin Elizabeth is with child, she who is already older than a boomer and whose husband is way past beekeeping age."
Oh
So
my
Mary
gosh.
said, "Bet." Gabriel left her on red, and she let the Holy Spirit cook.
Isn't that great?
That's really good. Someone really took the
Recently, I
time
did
to
hear-
do that right.
Oh yeah. This one's fun.
What is a
as
word
shit.
in your foreign language that just sounds insanely inappropriate to English speakers?
Sorry. In the eastern part of my country, Nigeria,
This guy's great.
Yeah.
when you want to say I, you say wa. When you want to say was, you say iyapu. When you want to say really, you say sismelai.
Sismalai.
And when you want to say sick, you say fish. So if you're ever absent from work and your boss asks you the next day, "Why were you absent yesterday?" Instead of saying to her, "I was really sick," you're gonna say, "Why your pussy smell like fish?"
Oh my god.
What is a word in your foreign language?
I was
that
wondering
just
where that
sounds
was going.
insanely
I know,
inappropriate to
right?
English?
It's a lot of build up too.
So I drew a blind dog
This
because I
shit's
have a
wicked,
blind dog.
bro.
But if you look closely, you'll see her as a little puppy. And if you look closer, you'll see all the past lives she's lived and all the humans she's befriended through the many years, from different decades to different cultures to completely different
What?
centuries. All the way back to the very, very beginning when she was a wolf for her blind companion. But if you look closer, you can see that dogs' relationships with humans goes back way before we can even remember, when we were all equals. And if you look back even further, you can see when dogs were the civilized ones, and we were the cute little pets. So when the invasion of the alien tree monsters came, and they tried to eat all of the humans, our dog masters used their greatest power, their love of humans, to blast the alien tree monsters. And when the tree monsters were blasted, it froze them in
Is
their
that
place.
insane?
But it also took a lot out of the dogs. Today, humans don't even remember the battle of dogs versus tree monsters. But the dogs, they've never forgotten.
Fight.
And look at this asshole.
That's why they piss on
Wrote,
trees. That's
timeline
funny.
doesn't add up. When were dogs and us equals? If it's after they were our owners, then the tree monsters came that doesn't make sense because it took a lot out of them,
What is
making them
wrong
dogs.
with this person?
That's me. That's my post.
Oh, you did that? Oh my.
Because the timeline really doesn't add up. Making them dogs as we know
so
them.
funny.
But you said before they were our equals. We were just pets. If it would have to be before, not after. Just saying. Great work.
You took the
I'm
time
the
to like
worst.
correct
I'm the worst.
them.
I'm the worst piece of
The
shit.
guy's
I
like,
know.
none of this is real,
He's like,
right?
yeah,
You
I'm just-
know this, huh? You get it. It's
America is a
fake.
nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put him, excuse me. America is a nation that can
That's
be
good.
defined in
Come
a single
on.
word. I was going to put him, excuse me.
That's
Now,
really
now watch my backswing.
good. Yeah.
Aye.
This shit will blow your mind.
Is it blowing water rings?
Yeah. And then look,
What? How does it do that?
because they're geniuses.
It's making like shapes with it?
Yeah.
Dude.
Dude, they're so smart. Isn't that
That's
fucking
cool. I
nuts?
didn't even know that was possible. How does that even
I
happen?
don't know. This is funny as
No,
shit.
so we started off, they actually threw a nice party for us at the hotel. The Chainsmokers came through, DJ Khaled came through. In Seattle, I had the goddamn Spoon Man from the Soundgarden videos coming to my shit.
No way.
Oh, yeah. I'm talking 6 grills burning at all times. Tiki torches, 3 whole pigs, fucking shitloads of macaroni and cheeses, baked potatoes, collard greens. No, so we started off, they actually threw a nice party for us at the hotel. The Chainsmokers came through, DJ Khaled came through. In Seattle, I had the goddamn Spoon Man from the Soundgarden videos coming to my shit.
Man from the
Talking 6
Soundgarden
grills
videos.
burning at all times. Tiki torches, 3
He's
whole
so funny.
pigs.
He's so funny. Shitloads of macaroni and cheeses.
Yeah.
At White House Senior Living, our residents feel right at home. Our vibrant facility offers delightful activities and outings, round-the-clock
I know, it's so
professional
mean.
care, and exquisite house-made meals.
Well, I've been eating everything that's put in front of me. I've been eating all Italian foods, basically. And ice cream, chocolate chip ice cream.
White
It
House
does look
Senior
like one of
Living,
those commercials.
where residents feel like presidents.
It's really good. All right, I got a couple more here for you. This is my favorite.
When I was in the graveyard, there was a moment when Voldemort's wand and mine sort of connected. Professor, when I was in the graveyard, there was a moment.
He's so good too, man. Good
Voldemort's
job.
wand
I
and
know.
mine
Is
sort
that
of
from
connected.
Yeah,
the
Community.
show? Yeah.
Professor,
This shit killed me right here.
As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I take a look at my life and realize there's nothing left. Cause I've been
Gangsters.
Babies are so funny, dude.
Yeah, gangster version.
Look at that.
Yeah.
But I ain't never crossed a man that didn't deserve it. If you treat it like a punk, you know that's unheard of. You better watch how you're talking and where you're walking, or you and your homies might
Oh,
be
yeah.
lying. So, I really hate the trip, but I gotta low. As they croak, I see
Oh, yeah.
This is my favorite coming up.
He's funny.
Right here.
Like on my knees in the night, saying prayers in the
Baby J used to do that.
That's the best.
It's just something they do, I guess.
The music is great.
Yeah.
look at the situation.
So good.
Walk through the valley.
I got a couple more. here
Oh,
for
dude,
you.
babies are the
Dude,
best.
this is maybe the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen. It's a bunch of people that named the band.
Yeah.
But gave them like names because they're a bunch of fat guys. One Digestion. Diabetes. Buns and Roses.
Diabetes.
Picnic at the Disco. Rage Against the Cardio Machine. 20-Ton Pilots. Lincoln Pork, Earth, Wind, and Fryer,
That's so messed
Tom Petty and the Heart Failures, Macaroon 5, Oreo, Freed Wagon, Smashing Dumplings, OBCD.
That was
clever. Here, ready for my input?
Yeah.
Boys Like Grills.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was it. I know. I also said second jam session of the day.
Ah.
Get it? Dude, this killed me.
Order the damn food!
What food do you want?
I told you the Chinese food, the vegetables with the lo mein, John lo mein, something like this. And you put hot soy sauce on it. Soy sauce on the vegetables. Soy sauce on the vegetables. On the vegetables. On the vegetables.
Just one of these.
Yeah.
Soy sauce on the vegetables. On the vegetables. On the vegetables. Oh, the damn food. The damn food. The damn food. Oh, the
Remember when these were like all the time? Yeah. I loved it.
I told you the Chinese food, the vegetables with the lo mein, John lo mein, John lo mein, John lo mein.
Holy crap, dude.
Hot imperial, you put hot John lo mein, John lo mein, John lo mein. With the soy sauce on the vegetables, on the vegetables, on the vegetables.
It's actually good.
Really good.
Vegetables, on the vegetables, on the vegetables. The damn food, the damn food, the damn food.
This is a chart topper, dude.
Oh, straight up.
The damn food,
Oh.
the damn food.
Howard Stern had a recording of like a crackhead that started singing nonsense language, and he turned it into like a hit song. It was so. I wish I could. Oh, you could probably look it up. I just wish I could remember what the chorus is called.
So what would I look up?
Yeah, let me think. Look up Howard Stern.
Oh, let's do it on YouTube. Probably.
Yeah.
Order the damn food, the damn
Like
food.
crack lady song or something. While I try and think of what the chorus is, because she's talking in another language, but I don't think it's a real language.
Really?
Yeah. So and then like a famous artist redid the song, and it's really good. Lady, yeah, something came up for it. Oh man, that's just it's not. Yeah, it's crap. Not that. Keep going down. I think it might be down a little further.
Pussy.
No. Do like "Lady on the Street" song or something. She was like a homeless lady or something.
Okay. No.
Yeah, you can't use crackhead because crackhead Bob is like a prominent figure on the show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Homeless woman.
Yeah, exactly.
Homeless woman turned into song.
That's it.
I know.
La Kunta Caldo. That's it. Watch when they make it a song.
We had no idea what she was singing, but I said if that's original, she could have a hit. We put some music to
Here
it,
it
and
is,
lo and
yeah.
behold, we got this.
Is this copywritten, you think?
No.
A couple of things have happened with this. We're in talks now with a very famous video producer who wants to actually make a video of this.
Really?
He likes the song. And I'm talking about a guy who's got major credentials in that area.
Order the damn food.
Major.
I'm just looking at his credits now. Smells Like Teen Spirits, Blind Melon, No Rain,
wow.
Green Day,
Yeah,
Rolling
somebody
Stones, Michael
really
Jackson,
made
and he
it,
is such
and
a
it's
fan.
good.
He's offered to do this for free.
Wow. Now, can we find this woman?
Like he
is
does a
the thing.
slow version of
Will
it.
says he knows where her box is.
How directable do you think she is?
Her? Yeah, I think you got to let her go and do her thing, much like Nirvana. When they did Teen Spirit. Smells like Teen Spirit. Yeah, you got to let her do her thing. But anyway, also on this front, not only might there be a video coming out.
Play this. Look up La
But
Kunta
there's a
Calda and
beautiful-
just play the song. That was just a quick.
Is this it?
No, that's a different make of it.
Is this
Someone
it?
turned it into opera. Yeah, try that.
Order the damn food, the damn food.
This is the slow version. This is funny too. It's because he's so dramatic.
I know
Listen.
those guys.
Like he's so into it when he does it.
La kunte koude, taude, zure kunte. La kunte koude, zjoude, flor, flon.
You need to see the OG version, I think, right?
It's all nonsense. This is a famous singer.
Tik 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 bouda tous. Pianta tula tu. Tik 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 bouda tous. Pianta tula tu. Tik 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 bouda tous. Pianta tula tu.
Yeah.
You drop that pula tun the poos. La kunte koude, taude, zure kunte.
He actually has like a good voice too. And
No,
shit.
he's
It
a
sounds
legit
good. Yeah,
artist.
yeah.
But the
I got to hear the original.
you got to
with
hear the
lady
original. Yeah.
Just speaking
Look at the
fucking
cow. Yeah.
nonsense.
And it's just like house music behind it. It's so good.
That's fucking great. Yeah.
Just the I can't remember who on the staff made it.
Food,
Somebody
the damn
great.
food, the damn food.
He's got the great
the
staff.
soy sauce. Genius, man. That's so fucking funny. I love that shit. But
so we left off Nixon. No Watergate scandal. No CIA chief for Bush. Bush being CIA chief, which might have led to no Bush. What happened during the Bush administration?
I prefer no Bush.
Bush is. So when you dive into Bush, because I mean,
George Herbert Walker.
We're getting closer to current, and I don't want to be divisive.
Yeah, that's not good.
But I will say, if you look into his presidency and just kind of do a deep dive on what he's accountable for,
He's sort of a piece of shit.
the word war criminal comes up a lot. His famous quote to sum up him as a person,
I'm a war criminal.
is him saying, "I will never apologize for America. I don't care what the facts are.
If the president does it, it's not illegal."
He is, yes. I mean,
fucking Nixon.
Nixon's friend.
Yeah, they're homies.
Yeah,
huh?
it was his guy. And eventually he's the one, he came to Nixon and said, for the party, you have to resign. But he staunchly supported Nixon up until the end and was like, you know what, man, you gotta resign. It's too dirty and you're going to hurt the party now. So it's time for you to step down. But
if the president does it, it's not illegal.
Think of that quote. I will never apologize for America, no matter what the facts are.
That's crazy to say. Yeah.
He invaded Iraq based on lies that he knew were lies at the time. And it came out later, all the real facts, and we found out that it was propaganda. He destroyed civilian infrastructure. That's what he targeted. He set them back to before the industrial age, is how it was described. He purposely targeted civilians and civilian infrastructure. He destabilized them and used depleted uranium weapons so that their children would have defects and it would be a long lasting.
Dude, that is the most horrible fucking thing.
Yeah. That's what I mean.
You're going after children.
Oh yeah. So where the quote comes from is they shot down a civilian Iranian plane, aircraft, a civilian plane, like
us taking a fucking Southwest flight to fucking Arizona.
Exactly right.
That's so foul.
America shot down a civilian plane, and 66
yes,
children.
Tina Bush Sr., yeah.
66 children were on board that plane that died, and they were all civilians, not a military target at all. And when they told him the facts, that's when he said that quote, "I will never apologize for America. I don't care what the facts are." Inconvenient facts.
And then Nixon came around. And if the president does it, it's not illegal.
Yeah, he was his top advisor.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was what's his name for Bush afterwards?
Smithers?
No, what he means to say, the guy
Dick Cheney. Oh,
him.
Walter. Luther.
Luther, yeah. He was his Luther. Yeah.
What he's saying is if the president does it, it's not illegal.
Pretty much. So we know he was involved in the Iran-Contra
Chase
scandal.
said absolutely nuts.
During
Facts.
Reagan. And then he took that kind of thinking and the toppling governments and installing puppet leaders. The Noriega situation in Panama, the bombing that we did in Panama, and Noriega was a CIA asset until he was no longer useful. Then we made him a drug trafficker. He trafficked drug for the CIA. But we decided we needed that
Barry
Panama
Seal, bro.
Canal.
Barry fucking Seal.
Right. And once they don't need you, they don't need you.
But remember that his whole story, American Made, is the movie. Tom Cruise played
This
him,
is
Barry
that
Seal.
situation, yeah. So
selling drugs and arms for the fucking CIA. Crazy.
That would never have happened. So we know that is something else that would have been avoided. Drug trafficking by the CIA, if JFK lives.
Well, he would have dissolved the CIA. There
Right.
would be no...
They wouldn't have had the power to do these types of
anything
things.
because they wouldn't fucking exist.
Yeah, they would have had to ask permission for every little move they made. They couldn't have done these weird little things, and certain presidents wouldn't have been okay with them doing certain things. So we wouldn't have had the drug trafficking through the CIA. We wouldn't have had them trafficking drugs domestically in poor neighborhoods to keep them
no crack
poor.
epidemic.
Exactly. So you have no crack epidemic. You also have no war on drugs, which was basically targeting
false
poor
flag,
Americans.
basically. Yeah, that's some
and
bullshit.
The rate of incarcerated people went up, skyrocketed, and the drugs won that war.
Yeah.
Because today we have actually a higher addiction drug rate than we did back then.
And it's keeping people in their neighborhoods. It's so fucked
Yeah,
up.
it's a great way to
so
separate
clear.
and make poor people poorer and
Keep
hurt the
poor
lower
people
class. It just is what it is.
And then not to interrupt, but this is a whole episode in and of itself, but it's this vicious cycle of, okay, so you're in a shitty neighborhood, you have to do something. You're 13, your homies are telling you got to do this or you're, whatever. You need protection, you need the homies, so you fucking start selling drugs, you get caught. Now you go to jail, and now you get out of jail. You want a job, but you went to jail, so now you have to keep selling fucking drugs to sustain.
No one will hire you anywhere, and it's a hard cycle to get out of, for sure. So we wouldn't have that. The CIA moving drugs domestically and profiting off that to fund other operations.
I'm just realizing now it's like in the ghetto. It's either you sell crack rock or you have like a wicked jump shot.
Yeah, I figured.
I'm
that's
just
where you were
realizing
going.
right now.
Yeah,
I'm just coming up with that conclusion on my own.
What's that Tupac line where he's like, instead of war on poverty, they got a war on drugs so the police can bother me. It's a good one.
Yeah.
So we don't have any of that. The Noriega situation, they called it Little Hiroshima because they bombed it so bad and killed so many civilians that it was an unrecognizable landscape. Just demolished it.
Terrible.
And it was all based on lies that he knew was BS. And then again, his ties to the Saudis and the Bin Laden family and training future terrorists.
So I'm gonna move the timeline up a little bit.
Go ahead.
If we're gonna talk about George H.W., let's talk about George W. So Florida, who was the governor of Florida?
We might not have had a George W.
He wouldn't have been president.
I don't think if his father didn't win, I don't know.
Father
if he
wouldn't have been
wins.
president. Dude, would George W. Bush have won if fucking H.W. was never president?
No, it's this.
If nobody knew who the Bushes were, there's no fucking way.
I don't think so. It's this
fucking
imperialistic thinking and this keep the rich richer and keep the poor poorer type of thinking that wouldn't have existed if we would have made these steps for a worldwide kind of kumbaya, if you will, during that era. Those men, post-World War II, Cold War era, those men shaped the entire future that we have today. The decisions they made.
They decided what the 21st century
exactly. They were
gonna
what is the next 100 years going to look like was up to them. And there was a guy who had a great vision for what that could be, and then there were people that killed him.
Then there was everyone else.
Yeah.
It was horrible. It's horrible. It's
So we can speculate that a lot of these things, these horrible tragedies and these wars that were never won would never have happened.
But back to George W. never winning. So Jeb was governor of Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Florida Supreme Court's the one who decided, okay, let's give it to him when Al Gore conceded, right? Dude, there's like so much to it. But even the Bin Ladens at September 11, 2001 were flown, not Osama, but his family was flown out from Florida, I believe. Out of the U.S. on a CIA fucking private jet back to their country.
Because the oil deals they had with the Bush family, they were very close.
$1 billion goddamn industry.
Very close friends.
Yeah, of course. So they're like, and what if the conversation, now I'm getting a little conspiratorial, but what if the conversation was, hey, by the way, your son did this? And they're like, what do you mean? And they're like, your son, Because he didn't take responsibility. Osama bin Laden didn't take immediate responsibility.
It's like 3 months.
Which is the opposite of what these fucking guys would do.
No, terrorist organizations immediately.
We got America, fucking
Say,
bitches. Of course they would. That's
Yeah.
their goal in life. So it's crazy to not take responsibility for 3 months.
It does make it look a little like recent
Like it's set
documents
up,
on 9/11 show that there was CIA contact with some of the terrorists that flew the planes. Some funding there. There's,
And it's so American to think, okay, so as an American, you're an American, right? We're Americans. We're thinking, all right, what would they target? The White House. Yeah, of course, the White House. The Pentagon. Oh, yeah. And the World Trade Center. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
These terrorists aren't thinking, oh, we must attack the Pentagon and the World Trade Center, man. Like, there's no fucking way they're thinking that. And the White House doesn't get touched. The Pentagon gets hit in a place where they're under construction. Yeah. Give me a fucking break.
It does seem a little strange.
It's just,
yeah,
it's crazy. Nobody.
There are
dies.
some weird things. Here's what I think is strange. Once you hit the trade centers, you know that every other plane's grounded, or you're getting shot down.
Yeah.
So why would you hit that first?
That'd be the last target.
Target the White House.
White House is number one.
Right. That
catch them fucking off guard.
Right.
Same time as Pentagon. Best they can.
It seems weird that they targeted something.
Do you think they'd even go for the Pentagon?
Non-military.
I don't think they would.
No. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think they would.
So they were the people who are supposedly were involved in this were trained by the people from the Pentagon, right? They would have known about that apparatus. It was, you know.
Okay, why hit it? Why make that a target, right?
Because it's the central hub of our military.
Fucking take out Langley. Fucking like there's a million other. I guess CIA, Langley doesn't deal with, FBI doesn't deal with the overseas.
They're strange.
So let's say they even thought it was a target.
The civilian target's the only one they hit. Yeah, it's all.
And that's
civilians.
what you go for first. 2 planes deep before anything happens, and you don't touch the White House.
Yeah.
United 93 because they took
who benefits more from the Twin Towers being the only target that gets hit? You have a bunch of upset Americans that will now make sure that our soldiers come over there and kill you all.
Wipe you the fuck off the map.
You have just signed your own death warrant by killing a bunch of civilians. You attack a military target. That's a little that's what you do, right? Militaries attack militaries, and
that's what terrorism is. Yeah,
so that's a little different. There has to be a response, but would the people be for an all-out invasion of?
If it wasn't somebody's brother and somebody's sister, like everybody's.
So that's why so many people find conspiracy there. Is it's like there's just so many.
We did a whole episode on it.
Things,
too.
We did.
I'll make sure to put that.
There's a lot of weird things there, and I hate to believe that we are capable of something like that. But when you look at JFK, and the documents that haven't been released, and all of the puzzle pieces that start to fit into place about his murder and his brother's murder, it's sad to think that we are definitely capable.
So, what are the takeaways here? Because we just hit 2 hours.
Not everybody. These small rogue groups they have.
Given Life says we
power.
attacked our own shit. I hate to say it, but we did.
It's hard to say it. It's hard to think it because you don't want to believe that they're capable.
Because, dude, I mean, and let's even think. And I know we
that's why I don't
dove into this in the 9/11 episode that we did. On 9/12, I believe it was. But dude, it's like even him reading the book, and then they tell him in his ear, "Hey, the U.S. is under attack. This is the Twin Towers." The birdie went down the road. It's like, you're still reading the fucking children's book?
He had no idea what to do. Yeah.
Like, is that because he knew exactly what was going on? He's like, oh shit, just act normal.
I don't think they would read him in on that at all.
I don't think so.
No
either.
Freaking way.
I think they wouldn't risk it because I don't think they thought the most. I don't think they thought a lot of him. I think they thought Cheney runs the show. Yeah. This guy's just the public figure. This is the guy you could have a beer with that people can,
Cheney was Bush's Secretary of Defense.
Yeah.
Bush Sr.
So this is, So this is Bush, George W. He's the figurehead. He's the guy that you could have a beer with and hang out with that could get elected president. Cheney's not getting elected. That fucking Darth Vader is not getting elected president.
Right.
But he can be vice president, of course. Easy. because you got the cool guy from Texas that you want to have a fucking beer with and hang out with, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It's a lot of tinfoil hat stuff, but it's like I said, if you look into JFK, it shows that there are rogue groups here that are capable, and it's all over. It's all about money.
So potentially,
yeah,
today,
yes,
flying cars.
I 100% believe we would have free energy. We would have huge leaps in alternative oil.
That's what I'm saying. So yeah, we're having flying cars because we're not using fossil fuels and shit, right?
Yeah.
We're using hydrogen. We're using.
We're
nuclear,
putting our
using,
best minds around the world on the UFO
because
topic.
There's no threat of Russia and us fight. No. Those are the homies.
Yeah.
Baby.
No, we did this together. We built this stuff together. Yeah. We don't make enemies of Iran and overthrow their governments. We don't make enemies of Iraq and take out their entire infrastructure. We don't make enemies around the world.
And Israel and Palestine would be friends. No, I'm just kidding. And Iran would all be homies. No, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
But we don't know. But
so there's so
lot
much that could change.
That
so
would
just
be
to wrap it up, potentially fucking flying cars, us being homies.
Free energy, the end of poverty. We might be spacefaring. We might be a spacefaring community. We're not putting all of our time and attention into defense and weapons. We're putting it into prospering.
Space Force, we would have had it 50 fucking years ago.
With the other great world power that knew how to do it.
The better space explorers.
They had the info ahead of us, just like the Germans did, and we took all their people and said, you work for us now, and then we got there like that.
Yeah.
It's you can't do this stuff in a vacuum. Keeping the UFO topic and the reverse engineering compartmentalized and not letting the greatest minds in the world look at this stuff and rebuild it, that wouldn't have happened.
Having a world
it would be open source.
where JFK lived, and this he got to live out his term, and the secrecy's gone, all this is gone.
Yeah.
Do we have a world where we say WM days we got to invade Iraq?
No.
We'd be like, hold on, let's see all the evidence. And why are we talking Iraq when a terrorist cell out of Afghanistan?
We don't need oil
us?
anymore. There's no need. Yeah. All of that goes away.
So there's no need for false flags for wars.
Yeah. And we know false flags are in the arsenal. They tried to get JFK to use them.
They tried to pull it on him.
Yeah. The impetus for Vietnam, for the catalyst that full scale invasion of Vietnam was friendly fire of two of our ships and bad weather. When they finally got word
because
that
of bad weather,
we actually might not have been shot at all, and we might not have had those weren't. It was just bad weather. It was too late. We already voted to go to war.
Oops.
It was all nonsense.
Crazy.
Yeah, and that lasted 10 more years.
10 years later.
Yeah, 3.8 million deaths.
Did you know Saddam Hussein trained at Holloman Air Force Base, the same Air Force base I trained at?
Yeah, I believe it. I didn't know where he trained, but we trained anyone who would help us fight off the Reds. None of that happens if we partner with them and work together. Put idealism aside and just become a human race.
Yeah. So crazy shit, dude.
Yeah, it's a cool thought experiment. I liked talking about this today.
Me too. Do we have anything else?
So if you build a time machine, now you know. One moment.
Don't go and kill Hitler.
Yeah. Right. We need we need to look at this whole timeline and learn from it. Don't repeat our mistakes. If we find somebody who believes in these values and that believes in changing the world for this better, let's get him in charge. Let's put him in charge.
Yeah,
I like that.
So guys, we will have a next week, probably gonna stick to a goofier, a little more fun topic.
Yeah, this was just a fun thought experiment because we saw so many lines drawn back to this one moment in history, and we know that in this year, the year that movies and books talked about 100 years ago, in the 2024, we'll have this, that, and the other. In the 1950s, they were like, we'll have flying cars in 10 years.
Yeah.
Something changed, and all of this technology went black. But none of this could have happened if this one event was avoided. It's just crazy to know that everything does matter. The smallest little thing can have ripples across time. So it's fun to think about the what other timelines have that we don't because of money. So thanks for joining us for this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We appreciate the heck out of you guys. It's good times. I had fun. Jared, you had fun.
Yeah, it's a cool little thing.
It was cool. Yeah, a fun little thought experiment. I hope we, open your guys' minds up to the potential, and maybe you guys can come up with your own little thought experiments. Like, what if 9/11 ever happened? You know, who knows what?
Yeah.
But come up with some cool stuff, guys. Thank you, everybody in the chat. You guys rock so hard. You there, all you there. We appreciate you. We're gonna have nice, fun filled show next week, and I got a cool. We got a cool little. Was
Video
it a crash
coming.
talk? What is it?
Yeah, it's like a crash talk. Yeah,
Sorta,
we call them
yeah.
that now.
Yeah, that's what it is. We got a cool crash talk coming out in the next couple days. We love you guys. We will see you on Tuesday. Before then, but live
like,
Tuesday.
subscribe, comments. We want to know what you think.
We sure do.
Yeah.
Hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe. We love you guys so much. And we'll see you on that flippity flop. Later, skaters!
Yeah. Woo!